Welcome back to Dead of Ages Past. This is episode or session 18, entitled 7 and 1 of 13, which makes sense to some, or probably all now because Tim mentioned it before we started streaming. So last session, a bunch of things happened. The king came over for breakfast. The wizard types were kicked out of the house by mean old Gilbert. Yeah, the mages found Sayre out in the wilds and expertly defeated her and rebound.
I think of it as saving her.
Yeah, something happened, and the sword she used to carry on her that Yenloren was holding is now bound to her soul. And on top of that, then they returned back home, and the king had kicked everybody out, started discussing Epsbridges because he happens to have one, known as the Black Blade. And, things happened. And basically that moment happens. You see the spirit in the center of the room with red hair, Elvish, say what she says, it's good to be reunited. And the second that happens, all of the spirits that you saw moments before fade away. You're now in a room, alone, in the Grand Hall, with each other and the king. What do you do?
Never seen that before.
Oh, also, Brockstar, you just have an axe in your hand, besides the axe that you had before.
Are the spirits in the room with us?
No, they have vanished. Yes.
Well, what the hell? Do you give my axe back?
Oh no! Your weapons, like I mentioned, are aligned around the center point where the Black Blade is lying.
Well, I'm gonna pick mine back up.
Okay.
And I also declared I've never seen anything like that before.
So, is the king still, possessed or whatnot?
No, the king was never possessed. The spirit.
No, that's Sam. That's Sam just just talking stuff.
Sorry. I apologize. I'll jump back. I'll wind my fucking neck back, guys. I apologize.
Ren would say, do you feel any different to the king?
Does the sword feel any different?
No, and he walks into the center of the room and grasps the hilt and kind of lifts it back up. It feels lighter, I guess.
Do you hear a voice in head?
I used to. He kind of sits there and meditates on the weapon for a moment. Don't anymore.
This seemed like good development, yes?
I'd say so, yeah. He looks to you all and says, "This is a very interesting development, to be sure. I'm absolutely certain my retinue is worried about me and concerned about me pushing them away. I feel like whatever we were able to accomplish here is completed. But I have so many more questions and so much more need for your audience. However, as I'm sure you're aware, being a king has certain weights of responsibility that are placed upon my shoulder. I have other meetings that I have to attend to this afternoon, but I believe within a 6th day I should be able to request your audience at my home, this time, Lord Kurgosler. Are there more of these?" He looks to Brockstar when he says that.
I do believe there are, although I don't know where they would or could be.
Whatever you are doing now in your lives, whatever you've been concerned with before this time. He looks to Lord Kurgosler and says, "Strike it from your schedules. Ignore it. Beyond this point, these are the most important things. If there are more of these things, they need to be found out. They need to be brought to be purified as you purified mine. If there are weapons as powerful as this out in the world, what I was able to do in my rise to power, if held in the wrong hands, could be used for great ill. Do you understand?
Yes.
I will respect our concordant. I will make sure that places are made for your family. If you have a means of communicating with them, inform them that they should be ready to arrive here as quickly as they can, and when they arrive in the city, they will be given places to live. So long as you continue the quest for these items, and bring them to be purified, as you've done with this one.
It will be done.
Go ahead.
Can I ask a question of you, Mr. King person?
Of course. And he kind of looks over to Kirk Gosler. Why were these two not invited to breakfast in the first place?
So anyway, I'm just wondering. I'm just wondering,
But
like,
why, though?
honestly,
Please, my friend. I would like to hear the little blue answer.
They had prior commitments.
Oh, we did?
Some of them
What were
said we
those?
could.
What were those prior commitments? Because we were failed to be informed of them.
Oh,
You hear a
boy.
whisper in your
Seems
head.
like there must
Zach,
have been a
Zach.
misunderstanding.
Yeah, Lauren, you hear a whisper in your head. A real quick note, you wouldn't have found the other sword if he didn't send you away. Fate has pushed you this way. Perhaps it is fortuitous that he is an asshole. you hear in Dan's voice.
Because in my head I respond, he doesn't need to know that.
You hear nothing but just Cardiff laughter.
so anyway, back to my question really quickly. So now that the sword's no longer possessed, and I'm assuming you're no longer under its evil influence, does that mean that you might actually, like, release all of the people that you shoved in the time mines?
The what now?
You know, the time mines where you keep all
Ren
the people that
elbows
oppose you.
him. He's like giving me a little
Why
elbow.
are you stop hitting me?
Fierce
Dear
elbow
gosh, you
elbowing.
people are so fucking rude.
He says to you, I swear to you, fellow wielder of these soul swords, that there's no such thing as that, and I have ruled benevolently as I have, and I've kept the evils within the blade at bay. To my knowledge, no ill effects have risen because of them. Because of it.
Sam just sort of gives him an over-exaggerated nod, like, right, and winks.
You see him kind of like look up for a second, and he goes, "Oh," and he kind of looks to you and he says, "I'll get back to you on that." And you see him kind of give you a look like he's very scared and like confused, and you kind of go, "Wait, what?" And everyone else in the room's like, "Wait, what?" And he says, I must make my leave." He nods.
Before you depart, my liege,
Hmm.
we have tapped our knowledge available in the library present. Perhaps you have other means of procuring, say, books or papers, research letters for my associate Prox and I for search.
Of course, I could get you access into the libraries of the conglomerate. I'm pretty decent friends with, I believe, your relative, the Magier Kurgosler. We've had some discussions in tea. Yeah, I will ask him if it's all right if we can have access to those libraries.
I am very grateful. Very grateful.
Of course, not a problem.
Valette looks at Yen Lauren and just sort of like raises an eyebrow, like, should we tell him?
He just gave me access to the tower. That's all I needed.
You already had access to the tower's secret mode.
Yeah.
The king is going to make his exit unless anybody has any other questions for him. Lord Brassigar returns to his retinue, who kind of move to him very quickly. You see him speak to the priest, and you can kind of tell from his cadence that he's basically explaining to him what he wants from him. It isn't so much oh, this happened. It's more of these are the things I need. And you kind of, if you're able to kind of read lips, I would say probably Ren being the most keen-eyed of it, might notice that he does mention the name Kurgosler a couple of times, probably in reference to the refugees from the kingdom of Stormloft to this place. They leave. The floor
So-
is yours.
You were able to recover Sayer's body.
This is correct.
It's in the basement.
How? She was so strong.
She was? She just kind of fell over.
I do believe there was some, perhaps former self present that was able to assist us.
It's most urgent that I return her body to the family. I'm gonna need to excuse myself.
Of course.
I will help you, Brox. And I go retrieve judgment, sheath it.
Okay. You, the moment you take it and put it into your sword, and you kind of feel this like elation, this kind of sensation of like, I don't know, like if you've ever felt like really proud of someone or something, like
Yeah.
yeah, if you've ever felt that feeling in your heart, your chest, whatever, you kind of get that sensation now, even though you get that feeling.
Noted.
All right.
Yeah.
You two are planning on heading to the watch to see if you can't find out where Jack might be located. That was the last place. I mean, you've had any information about him. You also have an idea of where the daughter went. Molly.
Yeah, I'm not going to the conglomerate tower, though. No thanks.
It's a smart lad. I will say that.
Probably not the best place to bring Sayer's body.
You guys want this back? You want to do some evil shit to it?
Why not?
I believe Samuel and I have other errands to run that we were called back from before we completed them.
Those ones you were talking about earlier, Gilbert.
Yes, we have done many things while out. In addition to get sword, we've been very, very proactive.
Yeah, I think you'd be proud of us.
Wait,
Actually accomplishing
stop.
something.
Hold on, cut back. We've done a lot of things. You'd be really proud of us. And you hear a voice from basically the shadows say, I am really proud of you. And then you all just kind of, and you see in the corner, just kind of sitting there, like, or just kind of like leaning against the wall, kind of looking at you, is Val Mardigan.
Ooh.
Oh, I was
It
just about
wouldn't
to.
be a-
I was just about to send word to you, Val.
Oh, no.
Wait.
I've been getting lots of words about what's been going on. And he kind of looks to you all. Lots of words indeed. Why wasn't I the first one addressed? So rude.
What are you talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, what's he talking
What?
about?
He kind of
Is
walks
being spoken
out
of.
towards Yen Lauren and kind of looks at him. What time was the meeting?
I believe I said when the sun is set, correct?
Then I will be here.
Something like that.
He walks back over to the shadows, like in the corner of the room, and it's almost like his form kind of just becomes a part of them, and he's gone.
So what were you two doing?
We have invited guests, yes?
Who are the guests that you are inviting?
Well, you
No
met
really
one.
that special. Just some friends of ours.
They're throwing a party, Gilbert.
I'm sure as Lord of the Manor, you would want to be informed of who you will be hosting for.
We take all arrangements. You invite your guests, we invite ours. Is fair.
Start the drama. Start the drama.
Yeah, I mean,
Started.
who said it was going to happen here anyway?
Oh, you did.
Oh, what?
Oh, I
You
believe
guys
we did.
invited Val Mardigan? Come
Oh,
on.
yes, and we have more guests to invite. There was, we have leader of Samuel clan. Then we have to go invite is Kengu? The other funny word clan. We should talk to perhaps maybe other noblemen. We do meeting tonight.
It's a gang party, Gilbert. Gang party.
Holy crap. I cannot believe you did this. You realize
What are you
what
talking
this
about?
would mean for all of us. Like,
Yeah,
Yes.
it means we actually get shit done.
What do we do if the king catches word of it? After what he just did, he's going to think we're, I don't think he's going to approve of that.
Let's put it this way. I'm pretty sure that the king's security is not nearly as good as, like, any of these guys. So I doubt he'll hear anything.
If you like, you more than welcome to go and resend invitation.
Real quick.
By all means.
Real quick concern I want to press forward here. Broxgar, all of this is basically just the chattering of just children in your ears. You go downstairs. You leave there. When you get downstairs, you find the body of Sayre. She's laying in a cart. I wouldn't say unceremoniously. It looks like they did take some concern and effort in putting her in the cart and concealing her. And when you go and you kind of look at her, you can see that she's cold, pale, and just absolutely lifeless. But it doesn't appear that there's any wounds on her. You remember her being struck down quite heinously by the Adams. But it looks like whatever wounds were whatever wounds were put down to her have been basically annealed.
Very strange.
You also notice something kind of... make just intelligence, and if you're proficient with either Arcana or Religion, roll at proficient.
Neither.
Okay, just intelligence.
12.
Good enough. Dwarfs and the Tall Nunnery are kind of decently versed in the nature of undead. And a lot of lifeless undead, like zombies, skeletons, and the like, they have their souls stripped from them. So if someone dies as an undead, or dies and then becomes an undead, their soul still migrates on. Their soul isn't bound to the corpse. So a zombie doesn't have a soul in it. It's basically a mindless and soulless undead. It's basically a perversion and defilement of the corpse. What you're looking at here looks like it's basically the shell or husk of a person who is soulless. When someone dies normally, it takes some time for the essence of life to leave their body. This one looks like the essence of life has been stripped from it.
Interesting. And noted.
You would have also noted that the Sword of Sayre and the Spirit of Sayre were upstairs when the stabbing happened of the Alanusero in the center of the room. And Sayre's sword is still upstairs. I presume it was picked up by Yen Lauren.
Yeah. I don't feel like we should, like, bury Sayre with her sword or anything like that. Like, we need to keep a hold of the Esprit. So I'm just...
Don't think that'd be fair to Sayre, who's now trapped in the sword, to bury her.
Agreed. So I guess you kind of hear the squabbling still going on upstairs. It sounds like they're still bickering and bantering about this foolish plan. I'm going to go ahead and cut to them unless you have anything you want to do. It looks like the cart could be easily wheeled back up the stairs, out the side of the building, and taken out into the streets of Rostagar pretty easily.
Alright, that's the plan then. And I believe Valette's coming with me.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm assuming, like, just based on,
Yeah, you're right.
you just walked away from the
That's
building.
exactly how I would have reacted.
Yeah. So Valette, you eventually come downstairs and see him kind of rewrapping the body and getting ready to migrate up the stairs and head out. You four remaining stand there in kind of the center of the room, notice that everyone else is left, and kind of in the middle of your bantering and discussion of what's happening, start to realize you need to get a bit more serious and stop being so opposed to one another, because it's not getting you anywhere. So that said, focus up and tell me what the plan is.
Right, and that's why my last statement was, you're welcome to resend invitation, but this is where we are now. We have invited them, they're coming. So, we can invite the rest of party, or you can go walk to Mr. Mordigan, tell him he's no longer welcome in your home, and we all move on to the next thing. Is fair, little blue bitch?
Holy shit. After all this, you're gonna call me a bitch?
Yeah,
think right
after
now-
you dismiss me from your breakfast without even telling me to my fucking face.
Yeah, to
Tell
be
me
fair, I
again,
won't call you a
you
bitch,
should
but I
not
would
do
call you
what I
a
want to do.
bastard.
please, to my face, right here, right now, tell me you don't want to go along with my plan.
To both of our faces right here. Come on.
This is
Come
the
on.
best part of D&D.
Yeah, this is the best part. Actually, I will give you guys both an apology that I didn't tell you to your face. So that was my mistake. But I still stand by what I did. I think it was best based on what had happened in the past. But I will tell you what now. We are in damage control mode. Since this is going to happen, we're going to have to do our best to make sure it's not a total disaster. So if you guys go and get the rest of the people, I'll help out however I can. But that's what I would say.
Prepare the
Right, and
household
remember,
for
these are
the
classy
evening.
people, so don't hold back.
And I'm going. I'm walking out the door. If Sam follows me, that's dope.
I'm headed with him.
Fuck yeah.
The second the door opens, Yen Lauren, and you're walking, you can kind of look off to the side and see crossing the courtyard on the other side of the way. You see Broxgar and Valette kind of walking away. And as you kind of look over in that direction, you feel this jostling kind of coming from like your hip. And you look down and watch as Asafune flies off of your hip and starts flying over towards the cart. A large, prismatic colored jewel katana flies across the entire courtyard. And you guys watch and witness, and Brox and Valette are kind of like, whoa! And you kind of duck to the side as it lands in the cart next to her body.
You know, that's not something you see every day now, is it?
You see
Also,
new things all
John,
the time.
As a quick question, John,
Sure.
is there anyone out in like the street or that can see me right now?
So far as to say, the streets are pretty quiet in the Noble District. I mean, it's kind of like a residential area. Not a lot of people walking around on the normal. It looks like most of the people who probably would have been like thronging about have migrated away. And your presumption is the king's recent departure probably led to a thoroughfare and people kind of like, whoa, is that the king? And kind of following after his retinue.
Okay.
So we're separated into 3 groups of 2.
Yeah, I think so.
So far,
What is
3
is
groups
awesome.
to do.
what does Asafune do? Does it land next to Sarah or?
Yeah, softly next to Sarah, correct.
Oh, all right then.
I slowly reach out and just touch the hilt of Osefune
Mm-hmm.
and try thinking at it.
You feel kind of a connection with the weapon. There's certainly a link that kind of pops, and the emotion you get is kind of this feeling of. The best way I can kind of describe it is if you were like fighting in a war, or you were on tour and you were away for a long time, and you were returning home. That kind of elation, that kind of feeling of wanting to go see your loved ones.
I sort of think to the sword, we will let you see your loved one, sir, before the next fight.
It's almost like you can feel, like, even though, you've probably never felt it in your entire life, but you might have felt it in a past one. You kind of feel this feeling kind of welling up inside of you that's like tears.
And if I could
Why is
shed
the
them, I
robot touching
would.
If I could shed these damn tears and that wasn't a robot, I'd be on it.
Do we know if the dual techniques work when one of them is dead? One of the hosts is dead?
You don't know.
We haven't even tried using ours yet.
John,
I wanna know.
They're
Almost
standing
as
next to
some
Gilbert.
echo that I don't know where it's coming from. I go to like wipe a tear away, but
There's nothing.
kind of confused by it because why would I ever do that?
Right.
My gosh, did someone install the chip in data?
Yeah.
Nice.
The lore.
Good times, good times. Oh, yeah, well, let's hope it's not Laura, for fuck's sake. You guys don't need any more
gosh, would be-
problems. You don't
True.
need any more problems. Okay,
True.
you two start wagoning off towards Red Wheel. And then, as I mentioned before, the trolley system works fine. It's not like you're thinking. It's not like Rice-A-Roni, the San Francisco treat. It's more like a series of like sleighs that are kind of on track that you kind of wind up onto, and on down the way. There's seating, but that's only on specific cars. There's a lot more like cargo cars on these trolley systems.
Mm-hmm.
You two head off that way. Cutting from you, now to be sure, the two mages are off together and doing their thing. They're going to start trying to go round up some gang bosses.
As you do.
Sure. Ren and Gilbert would be the last group left in the
Right.
house. What are you two doing?
Ren would turn to Gilbert and say, because Gilbert looks upset at what's happening, right, with all the drama in the.
There's probably
A little bit.
and I don't mean to presume here, Kevin, but I'm assuming that Gilbert kind of has a look of like he looks like he's wounded, like he knows what he did was right, but he sees that the repercussions of that result led to people he considers maybe not friends, but at least acquaintances, possibly friends. It seems to have upset them, and he's kind of dealing with that. Like, is that right, Kevin?
Yeah, I would say, and also, at this point, like I said, I think I'm trying to do damage control because it's like we got these people already invited to come over. It's we're gonna have to deal with it. So I would look over to Ren. I'd say, hey Ren, I guess if you could round up the help and let them know that I was talking to you and that what's going to happen, because this is going to be even worse than the king showing up. We're going to have a whole bunch of different crime lords. So just let them know what's going on and to be on their best behavior.
Ren is going to put his hand up and just say, just hold on a second. I think you're looking at this all wrong. This isn't as bad as you think. Actually, this is a good thing. So what happened tonight with the swords and with the king...
Sorry, it's still
today,
more advanced.
Yeah.
is a good thing. We learn more information about the swords. We learn that the king's sword is now maybe not as evil as we worried that it might be. And now the king wants more information from us. And I think that cemented your position as a noble for him. So don't worry about the nobility thing. I think that he's on our side now. And the other stuff needs to happen anyway. So he's not concerned about the gangs, but we have to be. So this has to happen too. So just relax. It's going to be fine.
Your advisor walks in at this moment. He says, "Another thing to note, my lord." And you're like, "You fucking asshole, you were listening." He kind of walks up. He says, "These individuals that have been invited are secretive individuals. I doubt they're going to walk in the front door. And if they do, they're going to do so under cover of stealth."
Yeah, that's a good point.
What would you have me do to prepare for their arrival? Do you want me to send the others away?
What others?
The soldiers and the archers, they have loose lips.
Oh.
They are just hirelings. I doubt they will hold true.
I should have told him that Aya knows the plan. She's cool.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, she was
send
waiting
them
outside
away.
for you guys, actually. So.
Send them away. That's a great idea. Just send them out to do something for the night and come back, later at night.
I will spend some coin on this matter. Is that all right with you, my lord?
Yes, that'll be fine.
He nods his head. He kind of looks over to Ren with kind of a look
Call
of like.
Call it a day degree.
He kind of gives Ren like a look of like acknowledgement, like, "I see you, I recognize you, I get that you're not an idiot," and kind of walks away to do his lord's bidding. When you two go outside and see the sword fly away, do you respond to it? Do you go chase after it, or do you guys just let it be?
Who am I to disrespect wants and wishes of inanimate object, yes?
I mean, I really just don't fucking care.
It's true, and we keep moving.
You guys walk past like a brush, and you see that Aya's there, and she's like, "Where are we going?"
We got
Well-
some other friends to visit.
This is true.
All right. Well, I'm with you.
Fantastic.
All right. When she says that, Sam, make an insight check.
This is either going to be great or terrible. I hope it's insight. That's wisdom. Yep.
Wisdom, insight, and yep.
10.
She seems really interested in Yen Lauren, but like the feeling that you're getting is kind of like, I don't know, like something malicious. You're like, oh, maybe she wants to like drink his dreams or something. I don't know. Drow are weird.
I'll come up with something.
Bang,
Great.
bang, bang, Bank it. Just bank that.
Here's the little paranoia inspiration.
Yeah.
Go, let it blossom.
Make something out of that. Build me a castle of awesome.
Give me about like 20 minutes, I'll have something ridiculous.
Very good. All right. Okay. So then you guys are heading to Warehouse 123. Okay.
Yeah.
And then Gilbert and Ren, you're basically getting ready in the house. Is there anything in that I just want to make sure you guys have a fair shake? Anything that you want to be doing in the meanwhile?
Yeah, there is. I definitely want to go right away and go make a long distance communication to the Kurgozlers and everybody in Stormloft and be like, "Come on down. You're the next contestants."
Before we die tonight.
Yeah.
Better get that message off.
Yep, definitely. I'd get that off. Basically, my character is getting everything he ever wanted, so he's like winning at D&D.
Almost as if like
Everything
they
he ever wanted and more.
And more.
almost as if they were waiting. Like you get a response back that says, "We're on our way."
Woohoo! All right, cool. Then I'm gonna moonwalk out of that room and then, like see Ren, and he's gonna see me like, "Oh, I've calmed down."
He's super stoked. Like he was worried a bit there for a moment, and now he's like on it.
I could die tonight, and I would have accomplished everything I was always setting out to do. So
Success is a pretty great thing.
Success.
All right, if you've got nothing else besides that, I'll cut to Brox and Yenlor. You guys arrive back at the at Red Wheel and make your way to Balin's Watch. You arrive there, and there's only one person present. Everyone seems to have been kind of left and exited, but you find Amanda Sternblade there, and she kind of looks over to you. And she sees what you're dragging in, and she kind of goes, "So you've had some luck."
It's done. Have you heard any word of the family?
I've learned that Jack is at Kilgore's Hammer. He's been there for a few hours and remains there today. It would seem, based on what members of the Watch were able to tell me, he's engaged with someone in conflict, open conflict, I presume, based on his wounding. When offered help and assistance from the clerics of Kilgore's Hammer, he said no. I believe he's torn apart physically and emotionally. So what you've done here, and she gestures to the cart, may go a lot of way in starting the healing. Nothing back on their daughter, though. No word, other than her intent and her disappearance. She means to enter that tower by whatever means necessary.
Perhaps someone should send word for Jack, and I could go look for the daughter.
I can go and speak to Jack. It would probably be best for me, if not from you. I'll go and speak to him, and I wish you the best of luck in finding her. As I mentioned, the last word we received from Angren was that she intended to enter the conglomerate's tower.
I'm gonna look at Valet.
The door opens suddenly, and you see a familiar face kind of looking into the chamber. A pale white face, with bright green eyes, dark black hair, bright red kimono. And she seems to be dragging someone behind her, a small child. She throws the kid out onto the floor. You recognize her as Molly, and you recognize the person throwing the child as Biken.
Well, that's very fortunate.
I'm
gonna reach for my...
In response, like as you're reaching for it, before you even get your hand like up to move it, she says, Where is the Blood Hunter?
She's gone. She's fallen.
She starts moving towards the cart.
You will not take her.
She looks at you. I've been sent here to take her.
There's nothing left for you to take. Her spirit has moved on.
You see,
Magic has faded.
Amanda reached for her blade as well. You were not welcome here. Viking kind of looks at her and then looks to you again. What do you mean?
I mean, the body is lifeless. It cannot be animated again. The magic has faded. I'm talking out of my ass, but this is what I'm telling you.
You see her hand, the claw, just snake towards the cart and slam into it. The second it does, you see Asafune kind of lift up off of it and kind of fall off the cart onto the floor and kind of just move to the side. And then you see the clawed hand start to pick up Sayre's corpse. What do you do?
Well, I shoot her.
Alright. You see Amanda drawing her blade as well. Alright.
I draw my blade.
Of course. You see her lift up the body, and the second she does, she kind of just lets it drop, and all of your weapons kind of come out. The shot is fired. Go ahead and make the attack. Okay. You see
Inspiration.
the hand recoil. Is someone using their inspiration?
Yes, I'll use my inspiration on it, actually.
Roll damage. Okay. And this is the non-magical one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Magic.
Right. So you see her get hit in the shoulder and kind of blow a hole out of her back, but no blood exits her body. There's just a very large hole in her shoulder now. She lets go of the body and her hand recoils and blocks the second shot. And she kind of looks to Valette, and you see her eyes kind of like stare. And as she does so, the green thing on her chest starts to boil. And you see Valette kind of run towards her with the weapon and just fall to the ground like a doll. She looks to Broxgar and she says, "You're not wrong, even though you were talking out of your ass." And her claw rescinds back into her kimono sleeve. "You can have the shell." And she starts turning to walk towards the door. Amanda's like holding her sword, looking to Valette and looking to you, like she's trying to get some kind of cue as to what the fuck is happening here. Do you let Biken leave or no?
Let her go.
She shuts the door behind her. Molly seems to be crying, kind of like there. It doesn't look like she was wounded or harmed in any way.
I will
Just dragged and tousled a bit.
approach the child and try to comfort her as I reach out.
She,
They're there now.
like an angry, just child, she basically pushes herself away from you and just tries to stay away from everyone. But then when she sees her mom's body, she runs to it and grabs a hold of it and just starts trying to like shake her, yelling, "Mom, Mom."
Can I move again?
Yeah, after she left, yeah.
Okay. I get up, I walk over, I pick up Ketsujin.
You mean Asafune?
Asafune, my bad. Ketsujin's Ren. Asafune, and I slowly approach Molly and I say, "Child, trust me, but place your hand on the hilt of the sword
She
and
looks
pour
up
your
at you
emotions into it."
nervously. She reaches up and grabs a hold of the weapon, knowing that it was her mom's. And you see her kind of like get this kind of look on her face, like, you know, like this strange realization. And she then holds the sword up kind of close to her face so that the blade's touching against, the spine of the blade is touching against her nose. And you can see that her face is just becoming just tears. As you sit there for a moment, kind of like...
If she lets me, I hug her.
She does. Then you kind of notice this radiance kind of emanating from the blade, kind of glowing on the weapon. And she looks at you and she says, "Mommy, Mommy says she needs to go to the dwarves. And she hands you the sword.
We'll take care of your mother.
She says she needs to go to the dwarves. Can you take her there?
Yes, I shall.
Amanda kind of looks at you two as this is happening. You have a lot. And looks at Broxgar. You have a lot to explain. And since your job is already done, and my heart's still beating a mile a minute, maybe you can accompany me to the hammer.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
All right. She looks to Molly and says, "Child, do you want to come with us?" She kind of nods her head. Okay. The four of you make your way to Kilcor's hammer. Meanwhile, on another trolley headed south, you guys arrive in a shitty part of town, Bearport, and make your way to Warehouse 123. You get there, doors closed as normal. The bodies of those giants are pretty much still kind of out and about, the pieces that remain that weren't kind of carted off as worm parts. And, yeah.
So, do either of us have the communicator, or did we forget to grab that from Gilbert? I start banging on the door, just...
Nothing happens.
Yeah. Mistakes
You know,
were made.
I have a bit of a crazy idea that just might work.
Probably should have told him fuck him before I,
So,
Mistakes
So-
were made all around.
so John, I have a question. You said that the black mask allows X-ray vision, right?
Correct.
And most teleportation spells say you have to see where you're going, right?
Correct.
Oh no!
So I put my black mask on you, Lauren, and activate the X-ray vision and say, we can go inside now if you want.
How?
Misty Step.
Oh, I don't have Misty Step anymore.
Oh, okay.
I have Gideon's counter step, so if you want to punch me in the face, then I can teleport through the wall, but only if I take damage.
For those
I
who
punched
are,
him in the face.
Gideon's counter step is in hedges, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Gideon's counter step is a cool spell in hedges
It's
and highways
so
of
dope.
DM's Guild. Marketing.
Yeah, I'm gonna punch him in the face.
Alright.
Try to teleport
Don't
through
have
the
to ask
wall.
twice.
While he's looking in through the wall, he slugs you. Wait, no. While he's looking at the wall, you slug him in the face, and then you both teleport.
Yeah.
What's going on?
He put the mask on me, I look through the wall, he punches me in the face, and as a reaction, I teleport 30 feet directly inside, and immediately, that part of that reaction, take the hide action.
Okay. Yeah, but you're leaving Sam on the other side.
Yep.
Okay.
The only way to get back out is to get hit again!
Hit yourself.
Let's do this thing!
What's your strength modifier? 0. So
We come up with the best
you
plans.
take 1 point of damage, in Lauren. All right.
We have the best plans.
You're inside the place. You see that there are still 2 doors, but it doesn't look like the red lights that were placed there before are present.
Is there any way to open the door behind me?
Doesn't appear to be. There's no doorknob or handle or anything.
It's what I get for telling him out loud what I could do and not keeping that shit to myself.
The door. So, if you recall, there were 2 doors in this room.
Yeah.
There was one that led into the white room, and that's the only one you've ever been in. The one that you haven't been through before opens, and you see the mediator standing there, and he looks to you. You weren't invited.
This is very true, but it's very difficult to get in communication when you forget communicator because you're not allowed the communicator.
You're talking a lot, but I stated something that's very serious and kind of conversation ending, and it seems to be a problem that you have. And as he says that, he draws a wakizashi and looks at you. I really don't like failure, he says as he steps forward.
Before you kill me,
He stops. A very interesting way to put it.
Master Kergozler has instructed me to invite you to his home this evening.
That's not part of the deal.
Is not part of the deal. This is accurate. But he has plans for a party with many important guests, and he wanted to make sure he extended the kindness to his closest associates. I'm not inside Little Blue Man Head. I follow orders.
Yeah, so I hope you recall, he says as he steps forward and stabs you. And your AC is what, like ridiculously low? Hold on, let me roll.
15.
Yeah, he hits. You feel the blade sink in a bit, and you take 19 points of damage as he hits a vital point. And as he kind of like lets the blade sink in and kind of looks at you and slowly retracts it, he kind of looks at you. The deal is simple. Find the fucking horse. Now. And when he says that, he grabs a hold of your shoulder and starts pushing you towards the wall. If you resist, you can make an acrobatics.
I can teleport again after he stabs me.
Yeah,
though,
you can
right?
get out of there.
Yeah, I'm going out. Fuck it. He didn't even work. That's his response. I'm out. Like, he stabbed me, he says that word, and as a reaction, I'm fucking out.
You still hear the words echoing through the magic. He basically says, "Get me the fucking horse." And it's the last thing you hear. As you kind of reappear, like clenching your side, you look to Sam. Bit of blood just starts leaking out on his lip.
I look at him, I hold up my hand.
In not coming. In not come dinner.
I've got a couple in my hand here. They might help.
Please. Oh, it's been a long time since stabbed like that. Oh. Yeah, I'm eat the good berries, I guess. Get bloated as fuck.
We have good times.
Where do you guys go after that?
Who else is left? We could go talk to that noble guy who's like head of the noble gang, right?
Yeah,
Who lives next door to fucking... or lives in the noble district? Am I making that guy up?
That guy you're thinking about is a member of the Idealists.
Yeah, he's an idealist.
Right.
I'm trying to think if there are any other like gang members that we actually know.
Gangs that have been mentioned to you, but not much information has been yielded. There's the Gentleman's Society, which exists somewhere in Old Rostigar Borough. There's the Wild Ones, which have been mentioned, and they exist somewhere in the Bearport Borough. And lastly, the only other gang that's been mentioned to you that you've heard about is the Council, which no one seems to know, or you do not know where it operates out of.
I mean, I think we can start off with the three that we've got, and I guess those guys are out for right now, so...
Fair enough.
We could go get a drink or something, you know. It's not like anyone's going to know what we're doing anyway.
It's true. I could use steam break off.
Yeah, you look like you need it. Seems like it was a rough time for you in there.
Not the most hospitable to uninvited guest.
He did get to the point, though.
Particularly not the most friendly terms with that man in particular. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright. And then back to Ren and Gilbert, who are playing nice, playing house, doing some cleanup. The the advisor comes back in and says, I've given them all the night off, and I've given them a week's or 6 days worth of pay for taking the night off as respect for them doing so great in the king's breakfast. And I presume they'll buy it as such.
Yes.
The only individual that's not accounted for is the archer named Aya. She appears to be missing.
So, out of character, John, would Ren know from his time on the City Watch what happens when people from different gangs meet for a parlay? Is there like a formal process where they basically say, we're not going to kill everybody?
Doesn't happen.
Like, is there like rules of the road for that?
It doesn't ever happen. So the only thing that happens is discussions between like mediators. Bosses never meet bosses. So what's going to happen tonight, if what Yen Lauren and Sam say is true, is absolutely different.
Would I have any sense of what I would need to do to try to prevent violence in this situation? It could be potentially volatile.
If you can quickly build yourself like a big old box of adamantine and hide in it, you can protect yourself.
That's not exactly what I meant. I meant
oxygen.
like any kind sort of set the stage to... okay, never mind. I guess the answer is no.
I'm really not giving you any leads. Anything
No.
could happen. You're literally basically... You've got an area that's relatively hospitable, nice, quiet, off the beaten path, noble area, and you're basically inviting a bunch of vipers to just hang out with you.
Well, so just to be clear, we didn't invite the Vipers. And we hope the other people get back soon so we don't have to deal with it ourselves.
Gotcha.
Back
Broxgar
before sundown.
and Villette, you guys make it with Amanda and Molly to Kilgore's Hammer. Inside, you see that there's a dwarf serving beer to a sad-looking gentleman. You do not take the body with you. You leave it back at the watch, and you enter in. He kind of looks over to you, Molly, and he kind of looks to her like just kind of greatly affected by her presence. Kind of stumbles off of his stool and kind of moves over to her, and takes her into his arms. She's still kind of, red-faced from before, and she says, Mommy's fine. Mommy's okay. She's alive. And he says, What? What are you talking about?
I
And he
take
looks
out.
he's looking to Broxgar, just looking for answers. Go ahead, Tim. What are you saying?
I take out Osefune and
He looks up to you. Her sword.
I just extend it for him to hold for a moment.
He takes a hold of it, and you can see the blades kind of glistening light and its reflective nature kind of go dark in his hand, and he kind of looks to it. Where did you find it? Where did you find Molly? Did you find her body?
Yes. Her body is back at... what was the place called, John?
Amanda says, it's back at the watch.
Okay.
Jack kind of looks up at him, or up at her, and says, oh. So she's really dead. And Molly kind of looks up to him. Is she isn't talking to you? She talked to me. And Jack kind of looks to the sword. What are you talking about? And she kind of looks at him, sad, and you can see kind of tears kind of welling up in her eyes, and she says, Mommy's in the sword, Dad. And he kind of looks to the blade, kind of looking at it, kind of confused. Is that true? He says to you two.
I just silently nod my head.
Mommy says she has to go to the dwarves, Dad. I don't know why. And he kind of looks to Amanda, and then kind of looks to Broxgar. Do you know what she's talking about? You're the only dwarf. Well, he kind of looks at the barkeep, and the barkeep goes, "Get me the fuck out of it! I just serve drinks." Back to Brox. What is she?
I don't know yet, but I intend to find out. And
You hear a voice in your head, very stern. She needs to be reforged.
She needs to be reforged, Jack.
What the fuck does that mean? And he kind of just starts kind of staring off to the sides, like looking at the sword. But you have this weird impulse, like that keeps on kind of coming to you. Like you want to cry. Like there's something inside of you, like that's reminiscent of something that you were in the past that keeps clinging to this moment. Like there's something about you that seems important to this situation.
Let me take out a little letter and remember my name.
Rockstar's
I like the subtle.
he's gonna kind of tear up a little bit and just like look at Jack and say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I couldn't keep her safe. I failed you.
Look at me. You look at me right fucking now. People die in conflicts, and she's been chased her entire fucking life. This isn't your fault. This is the fuckers who did it's fault. Have they been brought to justice? Have you found them?
Not yet, but we are working against them by the minute.
Well, you know the Adamses are dead.
Oh, well, yeah, yes, they have.
The Adams.
All those involved will be punished for what's happened.
You're going all the way to her old hometown to find the people who did this, or started this whole thing. The cultists responsible for this bullshit.
Well, they're dead.
What? Then he kind of looks to Molly. We don't have to worry about it anymore. And she goes, "You mean about the light, Dad?" "Yeah, you don't have to hide it anymore, honey." And she kind of goes, "Oh, you mean it's the best way for me to remember Mom? And I thought that I could use it against the conglomerate, Dad." "You're not strong enough. You're not strong enough by far. I'm not strong enough. And I've been doing this for my whole life." She kind of nods. "I'm gonna be strong enough." Jack says, "You're fucking right. You really will." And she kind of just gets back in and kind of hugs him. And he looks to you. And hands you the sword, Broxgar. "You're the only dwarf I see, and that's who she says she wants to be with. Do what you gotta do. Reforge her, like you said."
I will make sure that it is done. My friend.
Amanda looks to you, Broxgar, and says, "My offer still stands. If you ever need the assistance of the Watch, you've done great deeds by us. So whatever you need, we'll be there for you, free of charge."
Thank you, Amanda.
She nods her head. Jack kind of looks to Molly and kind of gets up and kind of like looks over to the barkeep and says, "I'm going to need a cup of coffee." And you see him start kind of brewing up one. And then he kind of lifts Molly up and sits her on one of the stools. "We got to stick around here for a little while, hon, but then we're going to go back home, okay? Well, we're going to stop by Grandpa's house and we're going to grab your brother. Head back home, okay? It's safe now. Thanks to Uncle Broxgar and his friend." A cup of coffee set out in front of Jack, and he kind of just starts trying to drink away the inebriation. The bottle, trying to climb his way back out of the bottle, he dove right into. And what do you two do?
Should we head back?
Amanda says, "I'll take him back to the Watch and show him, and we'll make arrangements. If a service is arranged, I'll make sure an invitation is sent out. Where are you staying now?"
Kilgore Manor.
Kilgosler Manor?
Kilgosler Manor. Yeah, we're in.
I don't know, I kind of like Kilgore better.
We're in Kilgore's Hammer. We're staying at Kilgosler's Manor.
Kilgosler.
Kilgosler's Manor!
So many weird names. Anyway,
We're at Manor Cor Kisler.
we'll find the address. and then cutscene back to the two mages. You guys are making your way back, right?
I mean, after stopping at a bar, sure.
Sure. Which the closest bar would be Tavern Lane. Do you want to stop there?
Yep.
All right.
Sure.
Are you stopping in the Red Dragon or somewhere else?
That works for
I
me.
mean, yeah. Don't
All right.
really care.
You notice
Booze
that
is booze.
the bugbear, Blackguard, he's not there. The barkeep, Kenneth, he's still there. And he kind of looks to you and he says, sorry, gentlemen. Hadrian isn't available if that's what you're here for. If you're here for just
This
drinks,
time, we're interested in the beverage.
well, I believe Hadrian's offer still stands. So one free drink of your choice. He starts pulling whatever you'd like off of the shelf and sets the glass in front of you.
I'm going to look for a really nice scotch.
Yeah, he does have a Cardithian scotch made by.
See, young Lauren is like a fortified wine guy. I'm looking for like a sherry or a port or something like stupidly obnoxious
Port.
in like one of those little tiny like cordial sized glasses.
Port is very common in Bearport. It's one of the more favored drinks. So yeah, he pours you a fine glass of that. The two of you drink your drinks. Anything you want to discuss before you make your way back to Kirgazler Manor?
Yeah, I lean over to Yenlor and like, oh, I think Aya wants to like, I don't know, she's giving you eyes like she wants to suck some sort of fluid out of you.
She's with you, and she basically just gets a cup of Elvish wine. And then he says, I don't think Hadrian's offer extended to you, milady, even if you are with them. And then she kind of gives Sam a look, like, you got this?
I'll just lay down one gold piece and say that should cover plenty.
She looked like she absolutely expected and almost demanded from Sam that he pay it, but when Yen Lauren offers so generously to do it, she's like, heart eyes, just kind of looking at Yen Lauren like...
Yeah, she's up to something. I think she's like a vampire. A vampire that can walk in the sun.
Something.
Creepy.
Yeah, it's weird. It's real strange. Real quick note, though, just an aside. And I do want to point this out because it is different than other campaign settings. But vampires can walk around in sunlight in my campaign setting. Good
to know.
They basically become like non-vampires while they're in sunlight, though. And
She's
they're more
definitely some sort of vampire.
yeah, they become vulnerable to all damage. But yeah, they don't start burning and melting away. Anyway, you guys then do head home, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. We've
So
got nothing else to do.
you basically left around noonish, like late mid-morning, and you are arriving kind of close to middle of the afternoon because it takes about an hour and a half to get there. You guys do some walking. It takes about an hour and a half to get back. So we're looking at like 3-ish, 4-ish. And about the same time as elapsed for Broxgar and Valette.
John, real quick. On the way back, probably shortly after like leaving the bar, I relay my sort of internal feelings that I was getting from while touching the sword and offer up to Brox. Broxgar, something I've been meaning to ask you, and it seems possibly pertinent to the current situation, but does the name Agatha Steiner mean anything to you or ring any bells?
No, not immediately.
If you possibly could help me discover more about that name, it may prove relevant.
I think I can help you. I've traveled with you quite a bit, Valette. Are you alright? I've never seen you show emotion before.
Yes, this is new to me too.
Well,
In all honest, to be honest, when I received dismissal papers from the conglomerate, it mentioned that was my true name.
Well, I would be more than happy to help find out more I can for you.
Make an intelligence history check.
Got 22.
You're familiar with Rostagarian nobility because you've been here for some time. The name Steiner immediately rings a bell. In the conversation, you kind of think about it a little bit more. And you realize that Steiner is actually one of the counts of the kingdom of Rostagar. The county that it rules over is its seat of power is known as Ramshore. Ramshore is a city a ways away. It's also within the Transient earldom, and the Transient earldom is its seat of power is Lely, which is kind of north and near White Spring, which is a capital city of a duchy. Basically, it's north of here, and it's kind of near like a riverway. The House Steiner. It's a county that rules over two other houses, two baronies, Manafort and Rockfort. And the current count of House Steiner is Gerhard Steiner. Their motto is ever forward through all obstacles. Their iconography is a black field with a ram's head in white set upon it.
You know, now that you mention it, I remember all this.
Now that you mention it, I'm actually really smart. I forgot.
Interesting. Perhaps if we look through their histories, I might find out more about who I was.
Two places that might benefit you, Broxgar, that you would know, is that the library of the staff associates in Talnumri might be a good place to look up some things, but it would definitely take some time. That's not going to be a afternoon jaunt. It's going to be more like a couple of days worth of study. The other place that you might want to research is the libraries of the court of Alderac, which is the capital building of the city of Rostagar, or the nation of Rostagar for that matter. Those might be two places you might want to investigate. Or go to the city of Ramshore, or the town of Ramshore rather, on your own.
Of the options, I think I prefer to try the court.
Okay.
I think for now we should head back. Some
sure.
shit's going down. It sounds like some dumb shit.
Any other frank discussions? Again, like I love in-character dialogues. Before I move you back all to yourselves.
Hey, Ren. You know, I was pretty worried, but I'm thinking now that they probably got this under control. I'm sure they've got everything figured out. You know, I mean, if they were crazy enough to invite people, they probably have it all set up.
Oh
What do you
yeah,
think?
without
Yeah.
a doubt. Right, Ren is like, I don't know.
Sure. All right.
Absolutely, Gilbert. Absolutely. Don't worry.
We just gotta. All right. Cool.
So before we depart the bar,
Uh-huh.
yeah, Lauren is gonna say to Sarah. So, ideas for when the guests arrive. Do you have speech prepared? Would you like me to take lead? Shall we just let the little blue bastard fuck it up for everybody?
I mean, really, it is his house, so I would feel rude presuming that I had the right to speak in front of him. I mean, I'm not even allowed to have breakfast in front of him, apparently.
This seems accurate. We'll let him decide how best to approach the conversations.
Kenneth slams his hand
Yeah.
down near you guys, like he's setting something down on the table, and then he removes his hand, and you see that he's set a bottle of salt out in front of you, and walks away.
I just sprinkle that on the countertop.
I'm having fun.
It's like the ching.
That's fair. So long as you and I are on the same page.
Anything else?
How does the bar time count as a short rest?
I'd say you guys would have had a short rest in this amount.
Cool.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's what I
Spencer
was
hit
counting
dice.
on it for.
Yeah, thank you.
You guys will arrive basically close to like it's going to be later in the afternoon for the two groups that have left. And to be sure, Ren and Gilbert, is there anything in particular that you're wanting to ready up before we move towards evening time?
Oh boy, what do you think, Andy?
Do you want to make sure that people can't get access to the basement? Is there any of the Adams stuff still down there?
They're going to have magic,
mean-
probably, so they could probably magic their way down anywhere they want, probably.
And we got rid of the body, so what else is left?
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I'll just prepare myself. This is like my domain, so like if shit goes down here, I have some a
Power.
little bit of extra power here. So, unfortunately, when those assassins attacked, they were so quick that I wasn't able to do anything.
Right.
So,
Couldn't even save the hot one.
yes. But oh well. So yeah, I guess I'm just gonna like try to get everything ready. You know, make sure everything's clean and put away, and you know, all that stuff. Maybe make sure all the clothes is off the floor of Yen Lauren and Sam's rooms. You know, it's probably messy.
I've been sleeping in your goddamn library because you didn't give me a room, you fuck.
This is the only set of clothes I own.
Yeah, Lauren.
Would-
all their stuff. No, I'm kidding.
So big.
Would you have? So Gilbert, Ren would take out his dart gun and say, "Do you have any poison I could put in?
I do not.
Just a little bit?"
I probably have a healing potion. If you want to shoot somebody with a healing.
Okay. That would be not exactly my first thought, but okay.
No, actually, I don't know if I have a healing potion. I better check. Let me see. I'm looking for one now. Oh, I have antitoxin. Here, you hold on to this. Or do you want me to hold on to it? Either way. We'll be
Why don't you
alright.
hold on to it? Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I need
So-
to get 300 gold pieces worth of diamond dust again, or whatever. So
Almost
I can
as-
res somebody.
Just unexpectedly, there's a knock on the door.
Okay. Do you want to get that, Ren, or
Sure.
Is it
Lanchard.
another assassin?
Yeah. Open the door.
No, standing outside is a lemon cap, older gentleman. He's got a sword on his hip. He's holding his lemon cap in his hand, wearing the lemon cloak. Just a city guardsman. Kind of looks to you and says, "My lord Kira Gosler, I've been sent here to act as a guard and basically keep you safe and serve you to the best of my ability."
Oh, is this by order of the king?
Just the watch. I don't know if the king was directed in that statement at all. You notice something off about his speech pattern? It seems to be kind of like strange, almost as if he's nervous. And then he says, "Yeah, I'm just supposed to make sure that you're protected. If you want, I can stand out at the gate, or I can come in and protect from the inside. Whatever you would like, my lord."
I want to kind of get an idea of like insight on this guy. Like what I'm thinking,
Sure.
insight is that this is somebody that the Mardigan sent to kind of look everything over, but I don't know. You know,
Make an insight check.
I will do an insight.
Wouldn't Ren also know from being a Lemon, former City Watch guard himself, whether he was a legit one?
Yeah, you recognize him. Make a history check, Andy. Just because you're searching your own internal history. Gilbert, the vibe you get is
15.
very strange. He seems to be really nervous, but you can tell that he's not really nervous. He's actually faking that he's nervous. So it's a double fake. He's not nervous. He's pretending that he's nervous so that you think he's nervous to hopefully like make you be on edge. Ren, you recognize him. He's an old guard. His name's Bob. You think his name's Bob? He was known as Old Man Bob back when you served, and he works specifically in the Noble District around Old Rostigar.
What kind of reputation does he have?
Don't remember. He wasn't really noteworthy.
Okay, so Brennan would turn to Gilbert and say, I know him. He's city.
So, what do you recommend? Should we have him at the gate of the house or have him in the house? I'm thinking at the gate, but I don't know. What do you think?
As you're kind of looking outside beyond his shoulder, you can see that Yen Lauren and Samuel are kind of approaching up the gate, or past the gate, moving on up.
Yeah, so Ren would say at the gate.
Okay, so I would ask the guy to go and just kind of watch the gate, and I tell him I'm expecting some visitors. I'm having a small gathering tonight, so,
Of course, yeah. Of course, my lord. And he bows, and then quickly puts his helmet on and kind of starts jogging past the two wizards. You guys watch as a lemon cap starts rushing past you towards the gate. Older gentleman. Nice enough looking fellow, I guess.
Boy, Ren,
Yes.
I was just going to say, you never really get used to being a noble,
I wouldn't know,
Some
Lord.
strange things like this happen. Somebody comes up and says, I'm here to serve you, It's odd. Very odd.
Yeah, you would notice too that his ears are kind of pointed, half elven. Not terribly important, but he looks old, and half elves are pretty long of the tooth compared to humans, so he must be well within his 300s.
Wow. Interesting. So I see Yen Lauren and
Sam approaching.
coming.
Yeah.
Oh,
You guys
so,
interact
alright.
with the guard or not?
I mean, I just sort of said afternoon, and then
Yeah,
Yeah.
he just
I imagine Yen Lauren smiles as he walks by and then looks up at those two in the door and's like,
he actually jogs past you,
"Huh?"
and you give him the look, and then you guys walk on up to the door. You guys are reunited.
Now you have city guard plant outside? This seem like good idea to you, yes?
Well, it's kind of strange. I'm not sure who he's been sent here from. I'm kind of thinking maybe it was from somebody in a like the Mardigans or something. Who knows? Or maybe the king. But he's just going to stand out near the front gate and let people in. So just watch, make sure nothing bad happens.
Yen, I wouldn't worry too much. They're pretty good about hiding bodies when they kill someone, and I just go up to my room.
Nice.
Fair
Are you
enough.
guys successful? Is everything arranged?
You guys go back into the house and close the door behind you and start talking as you are.
Yeah.
But Ren, did you go outside or did you stay inside?
I stayed inside.
Okay. You noticed, and it just kind of happened, this eye appeared in the corner of the room. Just looking in at the center of the room in the Grand Hall.
So, like an eye attached to a head,
Nope. Just
or a beholder eye.
a floating, incorporeal, kind of just weird arcane eye.
Okay.
I have no idea what this is about.
Okay. So are Yen Lauren and Sam in the house
Yep,
yet?
They just
So-
entered in.
I would say, what is this?
This new to me. You get renovation while we out, little one?
Arcana checks.
I mean,
And as you're
I'm just wondering.
as you're looking at it, it blinks and kind of starts kind of oscillating the iris towards everyone.
25.
It's the spell Arcane Eye, but it seems to be kind of
Yeah.
manifest in a very unique kind of way. The eye looks very familiar to you, Sam. It looks like the center eye of one individual who you've encountered and hung out with and been friends with?
It's Doug, isn't it? Oh, I hate
Yeah,
that guy.
that
Oh, he's
Doug.
picking up on there.
And then what'd you get, Yen?
23.
It's a scrying device known as Arcane Eye. Whatever it is, someone's watching you from afar.
Yeah, that's my boss. He's probably just checking things out. Hello.
The eye kind of blinks.
So
blinks
I just sort of like give thumbs up.
and then it zips away from you, and then it kind of moves into like the hallway that leads down to the basement.
Oh, well.
Does he expect Tor, or is he showing himself around?
And Ren,
I don't know.
when it
Just
came
gonna
in,
follow it.
when it kind of appeared to you, you noticed that it came from like through the ceiling.
Yeah, I'm just going to follow it right now, just to.
You kind of see it enter into all of the nooks and crannies inside of the basement, and then kind of stop inside of the old Adams' room, kind of look around, and kind of blinking. And it looks like it kind of like moves into the center of the circle and kind of like stops there. And you start seeing the runes that were carved out there by the weird ritual that the Adams, Jacob Adams placed on the floor, kind of just push out and away and just dissolve.
What, the eye just dissolved?
No. The runes that were on the floor, yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Just wanted to make sure I understood what was going on, right? All
Okay.
right.
And then the eye just kind of closes and just remains present. But shut.
Cool.
Alright. Broxcar and Valette, not too long after, you guys will arrive at the house, entering in.
Now, Master Kirkosler, as they come in, would you like me to dismiss myself with Mr. Samuel for your guests so we do not intrude and disgust them with our appearance?
Oh no, you guys invited them, so I think you guys will want to be present for this.
Oh,
We
well,
only invited them on your behalf.
of course, they're expecting meeting with you, not with us.
Almost unconcerned by the dialogue, your attendant, your advisor, enters in, hands you a bag, Gilbert, and then hands you a ledger, and like gives you a nod and walks away. The bag feels like it's filled with about 300 gold pieces worth of diamonds, and the ledger appears to be filled with articles that would be dinner. And your presumption is that he's made that dinner ready in the kitchen. It seems to be light fare, nothing like that has to be cooked, so it can just be kind of readily served out. But it's kind of fancy shit, so we're talking like caviar and crackers, we're talking about like fine cheeses, we're talking about really nicely cut and well dressed meats.
Like a charcuterie?
Yes, exactly right.
Gnome nobles love that shit.
Your presumption is that the cost of this evening for you, coin-wise, will be 500 from your purse, and you can go ahead and remove that from your amount.
Oh, woohoo! All right, because also, if somebody dies, I now have 300 gold pieces worth of diamonds. So this is sweet, guys. Try not to die, though. It's expensive.
Right. Well, we'll take note of that.
All right. So let's get ready, guys. I guess we'll just see how this thing goes. So do we have like about 10 different gangs coming, or how many representatives are we to expect? I'm looking at you guys.
There's a couple of people coming. I think we invited 7, 8.
Oh, that's a lot. Good. That'll be good. I would hate to have just a real small meeting and then have the Mardigans come. You know how classy and stuff they are, and how
Oh yeah, no, we wouldn't. We want this to be a grand experience for you.
Of course.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad. Don't do this again, by the way.
You hear a knock at the door.
All right, I'll go get the door.
It's Bob. And
what's up, Bob?
my lord, there's someone outside saying that they were invited to a dinner party. do you know them? And he kind of looks over his shoulder, and you can see, kind of standing at the gate, is this figure that seems to be just covered in robes. Like, you can't see if it's a male or a female. They're just covered in robes. And it looks like they have claws on their hands and just kind of very brightly colored robes that they're wearing. Different scarves and all of this. Seasonal. I mean, I guess it's getting close to the end of winter. But definitely very strange attire to be sure.
I guess I would look around at everybody and be like, I guess, right? Let them in. Looks like it could be somebody. Yeah, go ahead, let them in.
Of course, my lord. Rushes over, opens the gate, and gestures for the individual to walk in. The individual starts marching towards the house.
All right.
Once they arrive at the door, they look to you.
I would say, welcome to the Kurgosler Manor.
Am I
Please
first?
come in. Yes.
Good. Punctuality is very important to me. See
I
me in
agree.
then, little one.
All right, then I would let them come in and have them sit down. I guess what I was thinking is we would all sit around like the dining room table with all the charcuterie and, discuss all of our big plans.
The individual walks in, moves wherever you direct the individual, and will sit.
All right.
When you offer them food, this individual just kind of raises their gauntleted hand, spiked fingertips, metal hands, kind of gestures up, kind of blocks whatever you're trying to serve them. I'll be all right. I don't need your pleasantries. I just need the conversation.
Okay. Excellent. All right. So then I guess I would leave him alone in that room and go out and wait in the entryway for more people to show up. I'm expecting like a whole bunch because that's kind of the impression I got from these guys.
So Sam and Yen are like, who the fuck is that guy or girl?
Wow.
Who is that person? Why are they here?
Well, actually, Sam's going to be like, wait, you're not going to entertain your guests? You're just leaving them to sit by themselves for the
That's
time
what
being?
he said. Yeah.
We can open the door if you want to for you, and you can stay and make sure that your guests have all the comforts they need.
Seems
okay.
like much more reasonable request, since you won't be able to identify the guests that we have invited. Is correct, Mr. Samuel?
Yeah.
Okay.
We know who's coming, so...
You hear a very loud bass drop, kind of like a boom sound, come from the basement.
Oh, second guest is here. I'll go and let him up.
Okay. I'll go into the room and try to entertain the other guest. Talk to him, see what he's up to.
When you make it down into the basement, you see that the idealist has appeared. The beholder kind of looks to you, kind of like lazily. Its center eye kind of just like slightly open.
Yeah, I would like to say, John, as I'm walking down the stairs, I stick the black mask on.
Okay. And he says, Good. This meeting is actually happening. I'm so proud of you. All right, well, what are they feeding us? Goat? Cow? Something heavy, I hope.
Yeah, the small gnome doesn't necessarily know how to entertain properly, I'm afraid, but there is food upstairs.
Do you think my form will cause problem?
No, it'll be fine.
And
Fuck
you
yeah.
head up the stairs as the beholder follows behind you. All right. Let's see. All right. Okay. You're sitting there. Did you go back into the room, Gilbert, to talk to the guy, or
Yeah.
did you stay out in the Grand Hall? Okay.
Yeah, I'd go back into the room to talk to him. I was listening to these guys. I figure if they think it's polite to go talk to them, they're probably right. I don't know.
Ren, Brox,
hang
and
out.
Villette, where are you guys? And Yen, where are you guys positioned? What are you doing?
I imagine I'm at the front door because Sam went down to the basement,
Okay.
and we told him we'd be greeting guests.
Brox,
I'm sitting at the table with the robed figure, just kind of looking at it.
I'd
Go ahead.
ahead.
I would-
I'd be in the entryway.
with Yed.
Yep.
Anything you
I'm
guys-
probably.
want to talk about before? Oh, go ahead, Tim. What were you saying?
I'm probably standing at the inside at the sort of entrance to the dining room, just sort of like observing,
Okay.
since I don't eat food.
Yen and Ren, do you guys want to have any conversation amongst yourselves?
Ren would look at Yen and say, "You know what you're doing, right? Right? Right?"
Have I ever given that impression before?
That's why I'm asking.
As you guys have that exchange, you see Sam kind of walk into the grand hall with this stupid fucking look on his face, like, yep.
No. I still have the mask on, actually.
Oh, you see a
I'm
stupid
leaving
mask.
the black mask on.
And based on the look of the sides of the cheeks coming out of the side of the mask, you assume there's a dumb shit-eating grin on his face. And then shortly thereafter, the shadow of something floating appears behind him, and then you see a beholder enter into the grand hall.
Yeah, and Sam would say, announcing the entrance of Post Mortre, head of the Idealists.
And as he enters into the grand hall, he kind of breathes, and then the beholder looks at you. There's a tight squeeze up those stairs. It's too small a house. And he kind of says,
Yen Lord
what was it built?
beaming.
What was it built for, gnomes? And Ren kind of looks over like, oh, that's a real ass beholder.
Oh man, Yen Lauren looks like a kid on Christmas morning.
The beholder starts making its way towards the dining room. I really hope there's cow.
I would walk with the
Okay.
beholder.
You
to
enter
make
into the
sure
room
that
before.
I can see Gilbert's face.
You see,
It's very important to know if you go in first or last.
you see,
I'm going in before the beholder.
you see Sam enter
I'm
in.
announcing his way.
Then you see the beholder kind of like breathe out all the air in him, kind of suck himself down, and then kind of like squeeze through the door frame. His eye kind of like just glistening against the door frame, like leaving a little bit of eye gunk on it. And then he kind of into the room, and then kind of floats there.
I would, if I saw a beholder come into my dining room, I would immediately stand up, grab my my war pick, and I'd be like, "Stand back, you fiend!"
You feel his
This
eye
is
kind of like
Gilbert Kergosler,
narrow in on you, and
the
the second
owner
it does,
of this fine establishment.
Kevin, you feel his center eye enter, like, kind of stare upon you, and you feel as it does, like, the magic inside of your weapon and all of the power inside of your frame kind of just, like, fleet from you, as, like, magic seems to be blocked in his gaze, and he kind of looks at you. It's a really dramatic acknowledgement of my presence. Kind of looks over to the rogue figure. Oh, Grisel, the Gentleman Society has sent you. It has indeed. And then the beholder kind of moves towards the kitchen, and like most of its eye stalks kind of look into it. Did you get any cow or goat? It says to the gnome.
Yes. Did you buy any cow or goat?
Sam, who is this?
This is Post Mortre, head of the Idealists.
Kind of looks to you.
Oh, I get this like understanding look over my face for a minute. Oh, okay, you scared the crap out of me. I thought you were attacking this place.
Yeah. As a note, when the beholder came in, Valette like hand on the hilt of the sword, like ready to do something, and then it's like things sort of mellow out.
Yeah.
Bunch of racists.
The beholder.
It's a monstrous looking
You see
thing,
something
dude.
Like that, it's like a monster. You
The
know?
beholder.
Yeah, when you see something like that,
Oh,
it's like a monster.
I get that coded language. So the beholder kind of
Yeah.
like scratches its head with one of its eye stalks that has like this weird ocular like device over the eye. Basically, it looks like it's sun shaped on the exterior with like kind of like a blue lens over the top of it. Very interesting, but it's scratching itself with like the sharp parts of the sun, and then it kind of looks to you and says, kind of staring with all of its eyes at the food on the board. It says, "Is that really it? That's all? Is that all you're offering?"
Oh yeah, I guess
You
I
see one of
was-
the eye stalks kind of look at it and like zap the food and like grab a bulk of it with like this weird energy and start pulling it with the magical energy towards its face. Its massive tongue kind of snaps out, but you see a sword get pulled out of his throat and kind of just deposit onto the table, just covered with saliva and like grossness. And then the food enters his mouth, and he just starts kind of, and he basically eats the whole board in like a matter of seconds.
Holy
Hundreds
shit.
of gold pieces worth of food, and he
Yeah.
kind of looks at you and says,
Like that.
Pretty good taste. I like it. You got any more?
I'm sorry. I was not expecting someone of your stature.
What's that supposed to mean?
Someone so important that would enjoy such rich
Are you calling me fat?
food. No,
I'm
absolutely
perfect.
not.
The hell are
Yeah.
you talking about?
Yes, you're perfect. I
you-
apologize. I'm not used to meeting
You hear another knock
people of
on the
your
door.
importance. Whew. Get me out of here. I'm looking over at Ren. I'm like, what the hell?
Just
man.
keep shut. Keep your mouth shut, dude.
The individual
Alright.
in the robes who's been declared as Grisel by the beholder kind of like throws a bag out onto the table and looks to Lord Kurgosler and says, "That should have enough to sate your guests."
Yes. We'll
If you-
see what we could scrounge
If
up.
you peel open the bag that he threw out on the table, you'll realize that as it unfolds out onto the table, it just starts unfolding out to be a huge feast. Like a massive dining feast that you unfold out onto the table. And you're kind of like, wow, it's pretty strange magic, but very cool. Basically, you're unfolding a tablecloth from this bag.
Yeah.
And inside, it's basically like, if you've ever seen the movie Hook, when he finally gets the imagination right, that's exactly what's basically being deposited on the table. The beholder goes,
So basically,
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Sometimes it helps to have a little pre-knowledge of what to expect. You know,
Sam.
that's all I'm saying.
You stay with the beholder and Gilbert and just enjoy the moment. There is a knock at the door. Who's answering it? Yenlord?
Yeah.
It's that Bob guy again, and he says, "Got another guest over here?" And when he kind of gestures over his shoulder, you see Hadrian standing at the gate.
Yes, of course. Please, please. Come.
Kind of gestures in the gate being left open, and Hadrian starts to walk. You notice that Hadrian's not holding his brother.
oh, that's so depressing. I was hoping his brother would come. Damn it.
Hadrian
As he comes to
yeah.
the door. Yeah. Please, there are others awaiting your arrival.
Who's already here?
You shall see upon entrance. Please, there's no time to hesitate.
Make either an athletics or acrobatics check, your choice.
13.
Grabs a hold of your neck and pushes you against the wall and looks at you. Who's already here?
There is the oh god. There is men from society of gentlemen. There's the Lord of House. There is leader of oh my god, idealist, and I believe
He lets you go and kind of brushes your shoulder off. Most importantly, is Saza here?
no.
Was he invited?
Yes.
I have problems with him, and our previous arrangement might change. He walks past you and heads towards the dining hall. He seems very upset. It doesn't feel directed at you, though. Basically, it feels,
I know. I'm aware.
it feels like he's kicking the dog. When he walks in, he looks to the beholder and kind of laughs at him. The beholder kind of looks at him like, what? And then Hadrian kind of goes, no. It's just kind of like, still kind of just chuckling to himself. It says, Grisel? And kind of takes a seat next to Grisel. It seems like everybody knows Grisel. Very strange. Alright. They sit there for a while. Hadrian kind of just idly picks at the food. Grisel doesn't touch it. The beholder is eating like as much as he can. But it seems that there's enough here to keep him sated. Broxgar, are you sitting closer to the beholder or to the others?
The others.
Okay. Do you want to try and engage in conversation with them?
Who? No. I say who wants drinks, and I stand up and I would walk out of the room and I say I want drinks.
Hadrian raises his hand. Grisel says, "I'll be all right." But Hadrian says, "I'll take what you got, dwarf."
I'm gonna go find a keg in the basement.
The beholder says, "Makes food squishy. No thanks." All right. There's another knock on the door. The
I'll open it.
old man Bob kind of looks to you, and he's already led up a woman to the steps. And he says, based on everything, I assume that she's accepted." And the woman in question, she's kind of wearing very tribal-looking attire, furs, and just very barbaric kind of looking attire. And she looks at you. Yep.
Come, there are others awaiting your arrival.
It's really interesting. You invite someone into your house and you don't even know their name. And she kind of says, "I'm Warrett." She walks away. She walks
Yen
in,
Lauren, as I'll kind of bow as she passes.
like to her back, which is not bad looking, by the way. She's a very, very comely looking individual. She walks into the I believe is what is being mouthed by Joe. She walks into the dining hall. She looks to everyone. The beholder kind of looks at her. "Come now," and then turns the center eye and opens it. The second he does, the woman starts bulging her form, and she kind of splays out into a much larger looking creature, about 10, 12 feet high, blue skin, long black hair tied into a braid, and she kind of looks at the beholder annoyed. "That is not for you to do." She appears to be a very large ogre-type creature. The beholder closes his center eye. "Fine, keep your illusions. I don't care." And the woman reshapes her form back into the attractive-looking barbarian woman. And she takes her seat over near the other side of the table, everyone kind of keeping away from the beholder. She sits right next to Broxgar. "Who the fuck are you?" she says as she looks at Brock.
I'm Broxgar. Would you like some?
Yeah, definitely would.
All right. I hand her my ale, and I go get another one,
Fair enough.
or
Last-
2 or 3.
Last but not least, you hear a knock on the door, and you open it.
Yeah.
It's Bob, and he says, "I really wasn't honest with you before. I really wasn't here. I lied to Lord Kurgazar. Can you just let me in?"
And why might I do that?
"Because I am a representative of the council, and if you don't, I will make sure that you never die, but experience pain for the rest of eternity." And he says,
It is a pleasure to meet you.
Is this old man?
My name is Yen Lauren, and I will gesture him in. I'm not fighting him on it. I'm super pleasant about it. I just that's dope, fucking fantastic. It's great to meet you. You just tried to threaten me, and I'm a oblivious foreign guy who just is still happy because I don't get what you're implying.
He walks in and just kind of stands next to Valette, where he's kind of close to the door, and he says, "Yeah, I'm just gonna keep watch here with you." Kind of nods his head.
Okay. I nod back.
All right. The shadows in the corner manifest once again, Ren, and you see Val Mardigan enter in. I believe this is all we could muster, unless Sama makes his approach.
At this point, I'm assuming I've walked back in, and I'm.
Yeah.
Is unlikely.
Very good. He walks into the main chamber, and everyone kind of goes, "Val," and gives him kind of nods and accolades, and he kind of takes his seat.
Where everybody knows you.
Right, I had the same fucking thought. I didn't realize the mafia was Cheers.
He kind of looks at everyone and kind of nods his head, and gestures to a seat next to him, open for the lord of the house. It's your house. We're your guests. You should have
All
a
right.
seat at your own table.
So I would get up and go over to the head and make sure everybody was seated and does anybody want anything to drink? We have lots of beer. At least we had lots of beer, but I know we're drinking it.
Rockscar is just coming in from a
Yes.
refill. Kind of sits back next to the woman, Warren, and kind of, lots of ale. There's plenty of cups already out on the table, and a lot of food that you don't remember buying. And the individuals are kind of sitting there with you, and Val says, "I'd like to get right off to business and deal with something that's very important to me off the get-go."
Okay.
And he looks to Hadrian. And kind of nods his head. "You were promised something that wasn't the person who promised it to give, and I believe it would help them in establishing this meeting, but since we're all here, no favors are necessary. Do you agree?" Hadrian looks at him. "Look, I'll be honest with you. And I'll be honest with you," and looks to Lord Gergosler. "The favor I asked of you was to get a certain situation off my back and reveal certain elements." As he says that, he kind of stands up. "I'm having a lot of problems as of late, Lord Mardigan." And he kind of reaches off to the side with his hand, and you see his fingers pierce just reality, like just enter into nothing. And he drags his fingers down, creating this green rift next to him. The second he does so, you see his brother's head come out, and dragging behind him are his intestines, and wrapped inside of those intestines is Blackguard, looking quite thinner than the last time you saw him, and splays him out onto the ground near him. You see the beholder go, "Oh, seconds!" and kind of like lean in towards the situation. Hadrian gives him a stern look and says, "This individual was hired in and has been a very loyal associate and member of our group, our gang. And I've only come to find out that the reason why I was even trying to get these schlubs to do this favor for me was because I was being directed by this son of a bitch and his master. Why isn't Saza here? On good faith, he should be present." Val kind of looks to him. "I believe he's chasing horses." And the beholder goes, "Oh, I haven't eaten a horse in years. Ages. Very long time." Gets
I didn't
annoyed.
realize that the beholder was from Britain.
Gets very annoyed looking glances from everyone present.
Piss off.
And Hadrian says, "Whatever contract you had with me, Lord Gergosler, I do not want you to finalize it. But if you do have the manor or the warehouse I requested," Val kind of looks to you. "To show the document I gave you, and is that something you wish to do here?"
Well, is it absolutely necessary, or do you have another thing that you would accept?
Hadrian looks at you.
Yeah.
"These are the situations that are going to resolve. You're either going to bring me Saza's head." Val goes, "Whoa, whoa. We do not need to go that far. I would really hate to see a noble die horribly in a vain attempt at something so suicidal." Hadrian says, "Or you surrender the warehouse to me and my gang." The beholder says, "That's in our turf." Mardigan says, "That's in our turf. It's always been ours." "You're right. It's fine. I suppose it's okay if the Night Sharks take it."
Okay. To get this meeting started off right, then I pull out the note of the deed or whatever from my pocket, sign it, hand it over to him.
Okay. You hear kind of like the sickening pop sound as you notice that the Penanggalan Nadri is still kind of just eviscerating and exsanguinating the bugbear on the ground. Just utterly murdering him. But he doesn't appear to be dead. If you look over at Blackguard, you can see his eyes kind of just wide open in pain and agony as he lays on the floor being drained by this Penanggalan. Hadrian takes the document from you and looks at it. You forgot to sign it.
then I would take it back and sign it.
He takes it back from you.
Right.
Good. My part in this matter is fine. As per our agreement, whatever assistance you need in dealing with the conglomerate, you have it from the sharks. The beholder looks to you. You can't get to conglomerate territory. A territory's idealists. Stay in your fucking hole. And Hadrian kind of looks to him. You know your eye bullshit doesn't work on me. And the Penanggalan kind of lifts its head up from the dang bugbear, kind of at the beholder. The beholder doesn't seem to be too affected, and then kind of lets out a and just kind of ignores the situation. Val looks to you. So, Lord Kurgosler, what say you? What negotiations do you have that will allow for the idealists to join your cause? The beholder says, I don't need any of you. I only came here because my associate felt it was necessary. Looks to Sam.
I think we could all benefit from, kicking the conglomerate down a peg. I think, that's why we're all here, because there is benefit for everyone.
Warrant says, I agree.
So we're just looking for some cooperation when the time comes for whatever your gang happens to have. Like if you could, as an example, if you could get us into a secret place that we need to get to, if you can give us something that we need to fight the conglomerate, if you could help us hide people, anything, whatever we need.
You notice the eye stalks in the center eye of the beholder kind of raise up. The lids kind of raise up at the mention of that, and then kind of narrow. And then you see several of the eyes kind of looking over at Sam, as almost like they're trying to gauge a reaction. In response to that, Warren, the woman, the Oni, she says, that's fair, but the conglomerate exists in the idealist territory. If a conflict like that arises, the spoils of the conflict go to whom? To me, obviously, the beholder says. The clawed hand of the one in the robes kind of taps across the table, and everyone kind of looks to this Grisel just suddenly. And then you see that this individual is kind of just tapping the metal fingers against the table, and then stops, just settles the hand down. Everyone goes back to looking at who they were looking at before, almost as if they stopped time with that tapping. It caused everyone to think about what they were saying.
I think if we do this correctly, everybody will benefit. And that's what I want to do. That's why we have everybody here.
Not Saza, says Warren. And then Hadrian says, yeah, absolutely not Saza. The Kengo's out. We should kick them all out. Push them back to the east. Val kind of says, now, understand, there are benefits that come from the Kengo being present in the city, and the territory that they have earned on their own right. The balance that we've kept for so long has been maintained, and the last conflict between the Sharks and the Idealists was a very bloody one, and has resulted in the lines being drawn as they are. You do understand that if you live during those times, you understand how dark it can get. We are savages. We are horrible beings. We will do anything that we must to maintain our semblance of power. Kind of looking to everyone as he says that. Hadrian says, you're not wrong. But clemency on what happens here, the rewards that are being reaped from this coup, have to be discussed prior to the events of us doing this thing. Val says, of course, we don't do anything for no reason. Kind of looks to Lord Kurgosler, and as you can see, the nobility is backing this privately. Perhaps compensation can be pulled from other places. Perhaps the rewards from the conglomerate can all go to the idealists. Perhaps compensation can come from elsewhere for everyone else. The boulder says, good. I want all of those magic tricks. I don't want to give you a damn thing.
Well, I look over at Ren. Are you sitting at the table, Ren, or are you off?
I'd
doing
be
something?
standing nearby.
I'd say, am I missing anything, Ren? Or anything else? And I'd also look over at Valette and say, you too. And then they'll also look over at Yunlorn and, Broxgar and say, hey, and Sam, am I missing anything? I mean,
Ren would say softly, shouldn't compensation come in relation to how much is risked?
yes, yeah, definitely, yeah.
The old man, Lemoncap, walks in and says, the council disagrees with everything that you're saying. No conflict will be raised against the conglomerate, and if it is, we will make sure that they're aware of it. Val kind of looks to the old man. Ah, Aiden. Welcome. I did not recognize the face.
Bob! Oh, I love it.
That's
Yeah,
what I was
dude.
thinking.
I
You didn't
love
get
it.
that
I thought
immediately?
it was Bill.
It is Bill.
It's
Bill Bob,
yeah.
Billy
It's
Bob.
Bill Bob, yeah.
Whatever, man. That was too high
When
to
he's talking
remember.
council,
The,
who's he for?
The council. The council. He
Like,
says
who's the council, though?
the council's another gang.
Oh, okay, the council
Yeah,
is a
come
gang,
on.
alright.
Yeah, the
I
current
gotta keep up here.
The current representatives that are present would be the Idealists, the Night Sharks, the Mardigans, the Gentlemen's Society, the Wild Ones, and the Council. Now just revealed. You also invited a representative of the Shinigami Kengo. The representatives that were not invited or were just kind of foregoed: the Hogs, Blackjack's Gang, Bookworms, Green Daggers, Red Knives, Golden Boys, Fellhoods, Mist Family, and the Sunseekers.
A bunch of winners.
Oh, for sure. Based on this
For sure.
representation, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I mean, to be fair, aren't we all the real winners here?
for sure, the member, the individual marked as Aiden, Val says, if it's your wish to return to the council and explain to them what our dealings are here, I'm certain they will take time to deliberate and discuss what is to be done. And then you'll return as a representative. Aiden kind of nods his head, as it is, as it will always be. Val says, then go. Be gone. Aiden nods his head. We shall return with our decision. We will not allow for the conglomerate to be usurped. Its position is important. Val says, when your council has made a determination, you will stand against us or you will stand with us. I care not to speak to a simple servant. Go. Aiden exits.
Really quickly, what exactly was it that he said about the conglomerate is what?
Who? Him?
Aiden just said the conglomerate is. I just want to get the exact wording.
He said
but-
it will not be allowed. They will not allow it to be usurped. They said it's necessary. It's something that needs to be maintained. Val kind of shakes his head. So the council initially is not with us, and the others have never reached out to you.
Maybe it's all a matter of like how we were saying it. Maybe it doesn't need to be usurped, but maybe we just need to make a leadership change, or something where we're not totally getting rid of the conglomerate. Maybe we're just changing it enough that
Adrian
it makes
looks
us happy.
At you, annoyed. That's not what you put up. That's not what we're discussing. I'm all in. Now that you've given me this warehouse and access to our former territories. The boulder says, not for long. And then Val kind of raises his hand. It was fair trade.
Right.
And the beholder kind of shakes his eye socks. Yeah, fine. Whatever. We'll figure out a way to get around it. As we always do. If it gets as bloody as it did, Hadrian, this time, I won't simply tear the guts out of your brother. I'll force feed him down your throat. Hadrian kind of like raises his hand and you can see kind of green light glinting off the tips of his fingers. So be it. I'll blind you out of more of your eye stalks, fool. The beholder kind of backs away, kind of shrinks a bit. Grisel taps his fingers across the table and everyone stops and looks to Grisel. So much bickering. The voice from the robes kind of utters, kind of a lot louder than you remember it. Moving cats. The robed individual kind of looks to the lot of you and then kind of steers its attention to Valette. And you can see that you can't see its face, whatever it is. It's wearing robes and like scarves and such. You can only see one eye kind of peering out at you. You're a conglomerate loyalist, or you were, right? And everyone's now looking at Valette. Knives like daggers.
I was formerly of the conglomerate, yes. I have been released of my post. They have, at least this current regime in this city, has committed crimes and abused its power.
You're a liability, says Warwick. You're a problem. If we keep you around, who's to say your loyalties don't switch again, Turncloak? The beholder goes, yeah, that makes sense. As it's shoving more food down its gullet. And then Val kind of raises his hand and says, it is not for us to decide what this individual's desires are. It was she that brought this to your attention, was it not, Hadrian? This goal, this aim? Her and her friends, Hadrian responds, lowering his hand, the green light kind of glinting away from him, his fingertips. So, obviously, she was wronged greatly by the conglomerate. Desires.
Yeah, I was also going to interject in there somewhere. I realized my mic was muted.
Oh,
and
go.
I was going to say to Post Mortre that I would vouch for.
Valette. The beholder kind of like nods, like kind of just jostles in the air in a nodding fashion.
Bop, bop, bop,
Bop,
bop,
bop.
bop.
Yeah.
The individual known as Grisel kind of goes, an interesting take on the matter. But it doesn't matter what she wants. She's not a person. She's an automaton. A construct. A golem. A device. They
No,
all
wait.
kind of-
She has independent thought, and so I would say she is a person.
It doesn't matter what her soul is like. It matters what her form is like. Grisel stands up, and everyone kind of like shrinks away from that motion, and it starts moving across the room towards Valette.
Says the guy who's hiding under ropes.
Turns towards the dwarf and looks at you with the one eye kind of peering. Let me show you what I mean. Walks towards Valette again. You are your own being, is that right?
I am what I am.
Make a Constitution saving throw with disadvantage.
Oh shit!
Apparently, Valette is Popeye after that.
And I rolled a 27 critical
24,
success.
24 with disadvantage.
Oh, 24 with
Critical
disadvantage.
success.
Darn it.
Still pretty
Instead.
freaking awesome.
You see
Yeah.
Grisel's fingers kind of move out to the side and kind of dance, and you kind of feel motion flowing through you. Grisel kind of looks at you with the one eye and says, you can resist my magic. You can resist what I have here, but you understand that tower amplifies it, do you not?
Yes.
Do you understand what I mean?
I know what they have attempted in the past to do to me and use me as. Yes.
And do you think they've put their full force towards you? Or they've simply tried to use you idly?
I am under no, what's the right word of saying this? Pretense that they have turned their full force against me,
Good.
but only trying to clean up a mess.
You're not an idiot, then. Unlike some of the others present here. Grisel looks to Broxgar.
I'll laugh. I'll say, what's the matter what she's made of? They bring back whoever they want to serve for them.
You're not wrong.
If any of us fall, we're a liability.
Have you seen their dead raised? Grisel says.
I have.
Good. Then you aren't all as dumb as you initially appeared. The Gentleman's Society will definitely back your cause, on one condition. Looks back to Valette with that one eye, just gazing into your soul through your form. And its metal hands kind of raise up and kind of just stroke against your cheek, slightly cutting away the disguise. You go to Sunspire. You find the old forges, and you purify this one. The conglomerate have made it wrong, and you need to do something to correct that. You're a dwarf.
Sounds like a.
They helped
that
build
sounds like
the
a
damn
waste.
thing. You should be able to operate it.
I know of what you speak.
Good. Grisel says the Gentleman's Society endorses your efforts. Immediately, the Wild Ones representative Warwick goes, as do we. Almost as if they were waiting for some sort of sway. The Beholder says, we have information that could be helpful for this assault on the conglomerate, but we do not offer it freely. All of the things in that tower are ours. You can split whatever wealth outside of that the noble grants, as so you desire. And Val goes, these are all acceptable terms. What of you, Hadrian? Hadrian looks to Val and says, what I want you won't grant. I want Saza Kenichi's head on a silver fucking plate. Val says, I cannot do that. I understand that you have been deceived. But perhaps some sort of peace can be brought between the two of you? If you get him his horse back? I wouldn't have to get him his fucking horse if he didn't betray me and put a plant in my fucking gang. And you hear a sound just like very, just noticeably from the floor. Val kind of looks to Gilbert and then to Ren. And then kind of just idly looks back to Hadrian. So are you going to be a thorn in our side? No, but I'm not going to get involved. Then I will take back the warehouse. Looks to Lord Kirkosler.
I'd say you're already involved, Hadrian.
I am involved, but I do not serve blindly. As stated, the rewards are important. I am doing something for you, not just for the warehouse. The warehouse was for my acceptance to do the job, but the basis of me doing this was that rewards would be present. The destruction of the conglomerate. There's a lot of spoils left out on the table. Yeah, mine, says the Beholder. I'm not okay with that. That is not acceptable. A warehouse where a grand tower of magic is also on the table? Surely, Lord Kirgosler, you do not think I am stupid. Val says, no one said that. No one said that you were dumb. You kind of see the Beholder whisper over to Samuel. He's fucking stupid.
I have one question. Is Sam still wearing that mask?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
I am the yeah. I'm still wearing it.
You're the company man right now, the gang
Yep.
man. All right. I would say I think there are probably a lot of items in the tower that may be a lot more. They may be worth a lot more to different people. So I think.
They're all
I think
mine, the beholder
the
says.
idealists. I think. What's that guy's name again? Hold on a minute. It's Post Motra.
Mhm.
Is that it? Post Motra. I think you may want to think about the fact that there may be things in there that are hardly worth anything to you, but they may be very much worth a
They're all
lot
mine.
to the Night Sharks.
You
So
don't
maybe
understand.
we
Nope.
you should at least think about it.
If they want them, they can buy them off me if I really don't like them. But they're all mine.
I really don't like them. Okay.
Fair enough. You have deemed yourself worthy of everything in the tower, but conglomerate, big organization with many members who have many, shall I say, personal items, and I'm sure these personal items will not be in said tower. They have safe houses, they have bank accounts, they have homes, they have families. They have places of business that they take off profits. Perhaps after we remove conglomerate, we see other ties in other districts loosen themselves.
If it's outside of our territory, I don't give a shit. If it's outside of Spellmoth, and kind of, you see Val kind of look at him, our portion of Spellmoth is ours. And the tower is in our portion of Spellmoth. So everything in that tower is ours when we sack it. Val says, no one has argued with you upon that. All Hadrian is asking for is some form of compensation to be promised to him and his, so that when this matter is resolved, he is not left cut and dry.
Mr. Post Motre,
Yeah.
might I offer up that the simple destruction of the conglomerate itself serves you and your group the most, being as they regulate magic
means you can raid
use.
the fucking tower.
So,
We kind of want that tower.
yes.
And everything in it.
I don't say anything about his massive greed.
Right.
He says, and then as you kind of like back away,
Behold his massive greed.
as you back away from the conversation, you see his telekinetic eye stalk kind of grab another bulk of food and just slam it into his face. Grisel says, well, it seems our portion of the negotiations are complete. Lord Kurgosler, do I have your leave?
I think these discussions have come to a close. Unless, well, let me make sure nobody else has any last remarks as I look around to everybody else.
Of course.
You know. And then you could have your leave after. We make sure somebody may want to ask you a question or something. I don't know.
Okay. No one seems to address. Does anybody else
All
want
right.
to address Grisel?
No. Thank you for coming and for the agreement.
Grisel walks up to Valette again. So you are going to go and do as I requested, correct?
If it helps free me from their sway, I will gladly seek it out.
I ask you, then, and only you, a very specific favor. And you can tell me if you accept the favor in good faith, or if you deny it and show that you may not be as willing as I had hoped. See her kind of like reach towards her eye and just pull it out of her face. And when she does so, you can see that it sprouts crystalline kind of legs like a spider. And she moves it towards, or it moves it towards you. It's not a she. It's not a he. I just keep on assigning pronouns, and they're different every time because I'm a terrible person. But it moves, it truly isn't it, moves its eye to you to set it upon you. Do you allow it to do so?
What would this do?
It will allow me to keep an eye on you.
And when would it be removed?
When you've done the thing that I want you to do. When you've gone to Sunspire and you've purified yourself of the conglomerate's taint.
And will this permanently disfigure my body?
No, it's just going to stay on you. And it tosses it onto you and it kind of crawls around on your shoulder.
I allow it.
It kind of tucks itself inside of your armor. Kind of loses itself inside of the joints and such of your body.
Cool. Oh boy.
Nice.
Grisel
I gotta be careful about what I say now.
Watch, not hear. Grisel says.
Okay.
Closes the open kind of blank spot in the face area, and then kind of turns, kind of notices Broxgar again. I may have called you an idiot before. You may be the only person who can possibly do what is necessary in Sunspire. So even though we had sharp words for one another, I wish you the best of luck.
And I wish you luck as well. It will be handled.
Walks away.
Take luck!
As Grisel exits, you hear Porce Mortre kind of say, "Stealing my fucking gimmick." Val says, "Hadrian, we will work towards promising you some form of compensation that will be satisfactory. I'm sure that you can appreciate that Lord Kurgazler is doing everything in his power to make sure you're satiated in this coup attempt." Hadrian nods. "Yeah, I can see that. I do still want Saza Kenichi dead." Val says, "It's not going to happen. The peace must be maintained. And you know if you kill one blade, the other 12 will show up. Of course. Of course. That is astute wisdom, Lord Mardigan. Something I didn't think about in my hatred. Something you and your Night Sharks have in common." Hadrian nods. "Lord Kurgazler, I trust that you'll find some form of compensation for me then.
You will.
Me and my brother will leave, but we're going to leave our trash here. I hope that you have someone that can clean it up." And you see it kind of peel itself off of the bugbear, which is now kind of just torn apart, broken, and just laying out on the floor. It looks like, it almost looks like it's been completely drained of every single bit of fluid that's inside of it. When it floats back up, the Penangolin floats back up next to Hadrian. He reaches back towards the area where it kind of entered out of, and kind of lets it back in and zips it back up, zipping reality near you and putting the Penangolin back in it. Sam and Lauren, you can make an Arcana check on that.
Bugbear is back on the menu,
Nope.
boys.
You have no idea what that magic is, but he seems to be ripping a pocket dimension and putting the Penangolin or his brother into it. Hadrian says, "Since you can't promise me anything else, I guess I'll follow Grisel's example. Do I have your lead, Lord Kurgazler?" And as Hadrian says that, the beholder says, "Fuck it, I'm out of here," and kind of starts pushing towards the door to get out. And says, "Sam, you're with me."
Yeah, I was.
Would you like Snack to go? And I gesture to the body on the floor.
Bugbear.
Just continues on without it. It just ignores you.
He must not want Bugbear right now.
All good.
All right.
Dead. Care of.
The two of you head downstairs. We'll get to you in a bit. Lord Kurgazler, do you allow Hadrian to leave?
Yep. I say, thanks for coming, and we'll get you something.
You know where to find me. And our borders are on lockdown, specifically on the Eastern Front, Lord Mardigan, until the Kengo acknowledges their espionage and their agent that was found out, and their attempts to maneuver us in their own directions for their own gain. Of course, Val says. Of course. Nods his head. Hadrian leaves. Warwick also kind of seems to just get up without asking. Just leaves with them as well. And that just leaves Val and you guys downstairs. The beholder kind of moves towards the circle again. Looks to Sam and says, I don't trust a single one of them. Of course, I don't trust anybody. Aye, yeah. It's a problem.
They will all try to betray you, I'm certain.
Oh, I don't doubt it. Andy, where'd you go?
I'm not exactly sure. Hold on.
Okay. Keep an eye on them. Not literally like that weirdo Grissel, but keep an eye on them. Oh, I almost forgot. As you guys are sitting there idly, kind of just at the table, getting ready to talk to Val, the sword that's laying there with all the saliva on it just flies up off the table, shooting saliva, like dried saliva all over the room, and kind of flies out of the room down the hall.
That's so unsanitary.
It's pretty disgusting. The sword returns to Postmortre, and it puts the sword back down its throat, and then kind of looks to you, Sam. Keep an eye on them. If they try to betray us in any way, we need to know about it. Our efforts to destroy the conglomerate are already so far ahead. But if they can perhaps provide an idle destruction or some assistance, it may be beneficial to our cause.
I understand.
Eyes kind of like start glowing, and then it kind of pulses for a second, and then you hear the bass drop, boom, as it just vanishes from the center of the room.
Cool. When they're down there,
Yep, back up
and
top.
and when they're gone, I would want to talk to Val and everybody else at the table and be like, we should be able to get something for the night sharks. We should even out of the tower, because if we go in there, let's say to put an end to somebody, we'll have an opportunity to take stuff beforehand. They don't necessarily have to know.
You
Also,
don't seem to
go ahead.
understand the rules of the thieves, my friend. I guess Ren probably hasn't explained it to you very well. When we sectioned off the city into territories, it was well understood that whatever was in a specific district was theirs.
I get that, but if we go into a tower to attack somebody, let's say, to put an end to somebody, and we grab things, they may or may not find out what was there. That's all I'm saying.
You don't understand.
I think what Val is trying to say is if we try to pull one over on them, a war will erupt.
You weren't here 100 or so years ago when the Night Sharks and the Idealists fought for the territory at the Age. It was very dire. Ren, you were around for that time, if I recall. It was a bloody situation. It was turmoil. Anything that moved in through the docks, any kind of illicit trade, any kind of fencing that was required by other gangs, was basically broken apart by this turf war. If you state that the Conglomerate Tower, which has always been a diamond sitting there behind the most dangerous of bars and containers, ready for the Idealists to take, and you tell them that they've been staring at this prize, and now that it is achievable, they cannot have it, and they must split it with everyone else, while everyone else has already reaped the benefits of their own territory. Do you think that will go over well?
Well,
Especially
I guess,
since it was the Idealists in the first place who caused the turf war with the Night Sharks and not the other way around.
Okay, that's wise words then. I will definitely keep those in mind.
Hadrian is trying to take a strong stance in this regard. He does not want to be belittled. He does not want to come out as weak. He did lose that turf war. The reason why the idealists hold two sides of the H is because of that loss. Your
Val.
goal. Go ahead.
No, I thought you were done. If he was about to say something, I would interrupt.
No, real talk. Like, you interject like that, and he looks like he's about to say something, and then he says, "Go ahead."
Speaking of Hadrian and the initial task for acquiring the horse for the Kengo, if that were to be acquired, should that still be delivered to the Kengo or to Hadrian to give him some sense of negotiation power?
Did you swear yourself to a task for the Kengo?
Did someone swear us to that task?
They kind of expect you to do it.
Gilbert did.
Then you should do it.
Understood.
Shit.
It may not be something that the Night Sharks care about and are willing to fight a fight over. I'd rather not be the case. So, yeah.
And
do it.
perhaps we can bring them to our cause, as it were, if we complete this for them.
Hadrian already dislikes Kenichi, so it'll be a tough sell. But if you have Kenichi's favor, it might not be as hard. I'll be completely honest, it's the first time I've met them all in person at one time. It's too bad we didn't have the others here. I've never met Blackjack, but I hear his gang is quite healthy. I mean, there are others still. If you don't feel that these ones are... We don't have to take everyone. We can leave some behind. We just need enough to do what we need to do. That is all. Sam, do you return back to the dining room when you're done with downstairs?
No, I actually messaged you on the side.
Oh, let me check that. Sorry about
It's not a huge amount. It's just...
Okay, got it.
I'm not sure if I missed this while I was out, but did anyone mention the council? If not, Ren would say, and what about the council's opposition?
Well, I can tell you that the Council of Nine will take a long time to delineate and decide what they're going to do. Aiden is but a messenger, one of many. I assume when they have word, they will send it forward. And since the meeting place was here, it'll be sent to this house. If they decide that they want to side with us, after being told what Aiden had heard before being dismissed, then great. No problem. You can, of course, try and attain audience with the council and see if you can't sway them. The Council of Nine is... It's a very old guild. Very old gang. They've been here since before all of the others. They were here when this place was known as the Marches. And this city was known as Marcheshvan.
And
Is it
how
the fact that the conglomerate is an establishment that has been around for a long time that they seek to keep it upheld?
I do not know their reasoning. I can understand why they would want to keep the status quo, though. It's working quite well for the council. There was a time where the council was the Council of 30. The Council of 30 is now the Council of 9, mainly because a lot of their leadership killed one another to ensure power and continued success after Rastagar took over some 600, 700 years ago, well before my time. All stories, really. Some of the individuals here were probably present during that time. Grisel for sure.
And what are we to do about Rastagar himself?
What?
Do we have any worry about how he might interpose in this situation?
The king's
Interject?
the king's eyes are ever outward. The only thing that would cause him to stare inward is if you cause a genuinely true problem that causes pain, destruction, and hurt to his citizens. Otherwise, he's more focused on the threats to the west.
Wild ones.
No. Wild ones are not his concern.
Oh,
ones
no,
are-
sorry. That's what war it's from. That's the gang war it's from.
Correct.
I was answering a question and I split it out loud. I said it out loud.
No. His problems are from the west.
Right.
The Tanya Rus.
Well, thank you, Val, for coming here and helping us out with this. You are definitely a...
Kind of almost like rudely just
help.
stops paying attention to you and looks to Ren. You understand why it's important that I am spoken to first. If this matter was to have gone on without my attention, if I wasn't watching you, this could have been very problematic. You do understand that.
Ren says, after tonight, I see now that you're the first among equals.
I do not want there to be war. I do not want there to be conflict. The people that we are dealing with here are not like the people that come from my family's homeland. They're not. It's not about feeding others. It's not about making sure that people have a way to make themselves do when no tasks or goals are placed before them that are something they can accomplish or something that they can do at all. There's no welfare here. There's no desire to make sure that the people who can't afford to feed themselves are fed. It's the purpose of the Mardigan family. If Shadow taught you anything, you would know that to be true, and that to be our position. What you saw with the Night Sharks displayed here, you know that's not their goal. You saw what the Idealists displayed here, and you know that's not their goal. The reason why it is the status quo, the reason why it is allowed to be what happens in this city, is because these monsters are kept at bay. Sometimes you want to be the hero, kind of looks to Gilbert, and you want to fight them, rise up against them when you first see them and feel them as evil creatures. Fighting spirit just gets you killed. Sometimes it's better to flatter. Sometimes it's better to sidestep situations like that. If I had the power of a stronger being, if I had the might of the king, may chance I'd change it all. But I don't. And you don't. We don't. As a collective. The only thing we can do here is make sure that everyone present is kept calm. Lord Gosler, I thank you for your hospitality.
Out of character, John, does Val know about the Esperedges?
No.
Interesting.
I'll
You may
get.
not know that the king's our best buddy now.
Well, you
Doesn't
know-
matter.
He knows you had breakfast, and like you can kind of
Right.
tell. Go ahead and make a scrutinize check. I'm sorry, Tim. I totally had a discern check for you at the beginning of this, and I forgot. Go ahead and roll
It's
it
okay.
now.
What am I rolling?
Discern, so it would be a perception check.
Nat 20.
Okay. That's lame.
17.
Okay, so the situation you would have realized at the very beginning, and I think you might have figured it out on your own, is that Grissel arrived first and was the first to leave, but was the one that everyone paid attention to throughout, even though Val was the one that is trying to maintain kind of a structure balance here, and seems to be the one that was doing the talking for the dialogue here, trying to be the one in charge. But it's very obvious that Grissel, whoever that is really the one who held power in that conversation. And Ren,
Wait. I'm gonna burn my inspiration on that one.
okay.
Oh, 24.
Ren, what you're noticing about Val here is he was very honest just now. He is a good person at heart. You also notice that when he said, I don't have the power of the king, neither do you, neither do we, you do note that it was kind of sharply pointed at the fact that he probably knows you had breakfast with him this morning. Val kind of gets up from his chair. Have a good evening. Sleep well. I'd suggest calling those soldiers back, just in case you have another problem. Walks towards
Yeah,
the
do
Great
you know
Hall.
who that problem was? Was
Yeah.
that the Kango?
No,
Kango assassins?
it wasn't.
Conglomerate?
No. He kind of
No.
stops and he looks to you. Did you see him? The one with the half mask?
He was
witch hunter?
like an Eastern warrior.
Yes, if you saw him, then you know. He is a member of the Conglomerate's Witch Hunter group. He's seeking out Lord Remick, I believe, and using everything with his
Yes.
power to find him.
Witch hunter?
Correct.
No, witch hunter? No, I'm joking.
Get the hell out of my kitchen.
Oh man, that was a good session though. Good session.
Who said it was done?
Yeah, it was a good one.
I didn't call it yet.
Oh, I know, but I called it. Sorry.
Oh, jeez, alright, well, fine,
I just
DM.
called it. Sorry.
Why don't you run the game for us there, Bubby?
Oh, I don't know. What about?
Anyway, that said, if you guys are going to retire for the evening, is there anything that you guys want to do before that's the case? Any conversations you want to have in group?
Well, after like everyone's left at this point, right?
That's
so
right.
Sam comes up, and currently I still have the mask on, and I just sort of like slowly start to take it off, but while my face is still covered, I'm just sort of say, so after we're done killing the conglomerate, we get these fuckers, right? And I just take the mask off.
And that's where we'll leave the session off for tonight. That's a really good stopping point.
Oh my gosh.
Alright,
What?
thanks for watching. Follow the stream.